Hatred is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it hides in a gentle smile that conceals a clenched fist, or a polite nod in public, followed by quiet sabotage in private. True hatred is patient, not explosive. It waits, watches, and plans. When it strikes, the damage is already done, relationships broken, careers ruined, families divided. The worst part is most people never see it coming. They doubt themselves instead of questioning the person who has been silently poisoning their life for years. In this video, we'll uncover 5 unmistakable signs of true hatred, the kind that seeps into your life like a slow poison. These are not fleeting moods or minor conflicts. These signs are deep patterns that, once recognized, will transform how you safeguard your inner peace forever. If you value your clarity, trust, and future, you must understand these signs before it's too late. Stay with me until the end. If you're ready to see the world clearly, subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and comment below. I am committed to protecting my peace of mind. Let's begin. The first sign is when others quietly work against your success. This is where things become unsettling. If you've lived long enough, you may have felt this. Some people don't just dislike you, they want you to fail. Not in a moment of anger, but with careful, deliberate intent. They don't shout or rage. Instead, they are silent saboteurs, sowing doubt in others, pulling strings behind the scenes, ensuring no trace remains in the chaos they create. On the surface, they may seem supportive, even friendly, but every smile hides a secret satisfaction at the thought of your stumble. The tragedy is most fail to notice until the harm is done. A clear sign of true hatred is when someone quietly but persistently blocks your progress. They aren't the ones openly opposing you. At least then you could defend yourself. No, this is the person who nods at your ideas, encourages your plans, then subtly shifts the environment so those plans never take root. Picture a colleague who always forgets to send you critical emails before a big meeting, but sends them to everyone else. Or a family member who, in casual conversation, subtly undermines your credibility, perhaps saying you've been stressed lately or tend to act impulsively. These small remarks don't stand out at first, but over time, they build a narrative about you that you can't counter. This isn't carelessness or incompetence, it's deliberate sabotage. In the workplace, these individuals may assist with a project but miss deadlines or misplace vital information. Knowing you'll take the blame, they might take your ideas, present them as their own, or subtly highlight your smallest mistakes to diminish your strengths. In personal life, they play similar games. They may stir conflict between you and loved ones, not with direct accusations, but with subtle hints and half-truths that erode trust. Over time, you notice patterns, invitations you never receive, opportunities that vanish without explanation, friends who suddenly act distant without reason. From a Stoic perspective, the challenge lies not just in spotting these patterns, but in responding without being consumed by anger. Marcus Aurelius wrote that harm from others only gains power when we let it affect our minds. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but refusing to let it disrupt your inner calm. Stoics accept that some people harbor malice, but choose not to let it disturb their peace. The practical approach has 2 steps: observe carefully and maintain self-control. Instead of reacting emotionally to each slight, look for consistency. Is a forgotten message, a one-time mistake, or a recurring act? Does a passing comment stand alone or echo in conversations you're not part of? When you realize someone is quietly working against you, the worst response is to confront them in anger. That's what they want. It makes you seem unstable while they play the victim. Instead, a Stoic approach is to calmly reduce their influence, share less with them, document key interactions, and build alliances with those who value your character. If possible, produce clear, undeniable results so their whispers can't compete with your proven success. The truth is, subtle sabotage thrives in secrecy. It works best when you're distracted, self-doubting, or too trusting to see what's happening. By bringing it to light, not through public accusations, but through private awareness, you disarm their strongest weapon, secrecy. Here's a hard truth you must accept. To protect yourself, some people find joy in your lowest moments. Your failure becomes their quiet victory, proof of the resentment they've long held against you. It's tempting to try to convince these people to prove you deserve respect or empathy, but that's not the Stoic path. You're not here to change their view of you. You're here to preserve your integrity, focus, and inner peace. Epictetus taught that we should only care about what we can control: our thoughts, actions, choices, and let go of the rest. Trying to change the heart of someone who hates you is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. It only exhausts you. When you understand this, you can shift your energy from defending yourself to living so well that their hatred becomes irrelevant. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but managing it wisely, without losing balance. Stay calm. Refuse to play their game, and you take away the one thing they crave: your emotional reaction. Hatred feeds on the chaos it creates. A Stoic starves it by standing firm in tranquility. Recognizing the first sign is crucial, but it's only the beginning. Another sign, equally dangerous, erodes your spirit subtly. When someone's eyes light up, not at your success, but at your pain, once you see it, you'll never forget it. The second sign, they take pleasure when misfortune strikes you. This isn't mere envy or someone upset by your good news. It's a darker truth. People who find genuine satisfaction in your suffering, unable to hide their delight when life deals you a heavy blow. They may use polite words to mask their reaction, but the mask never fits perfectly. A true friend listens without judgment, asks how to help, and offers sincere support. Their voice, posture, and eyes show genuine care. But someone who harbors hatred speaks the right words with the wrong energy. Their eyes may gleam a bit too brightly. Their questions probe too deeply, making you feel exposed. Instead of easing your burden, their words make it heavier. You sense it in the smallest cracks of their behavior. They may lower their voice to sound caring, but you feel a hidden excitement in their tone. They try to keep a neutral face, but a fleeting smirk betrays them, noticeable only to those paying close attention. They inquire about your struggles, not to help, but because your misfortune entertains them. A friend might ask about a lawsuit you're facing, eagerly digging into details without offering useful advice, as if savoring a dramatic story. When you share financial troubles, they seem sympathetic, but subtly shift the conversation to your mistakes, framing the situation as your fault. The clearest sign isn't how they react to your setbacks, but how they handle your successes. When you share good news, their response is brief, dismissive, and they quickly change the subject. But share bad news, and suddenly they have endless time to linger on it. They lean in. Their voice grows eager, almost relieved, to dwell on the topic. On social media, their behavior is even clearer. They ignore your achievements, but rush to comment on your struggles, posting seemingly supportive words that amplify your pain for others to see. This isn't random. It's a corrosive pattern that uses your setbacks as their social currency. The danger isn't just the emotional hurt, it's the gradual erosion of your spirit. You may start to doubt whether you can trust anyone with your vulnerabilities. You might stop sharing good news because you sense it's not welcomed. This is exactly what they want, to shrink your emotional openness until the only version of you they see is one struggling. That version feeds their ego. It confirms their sense of superiority. It fuels their quiet triumph. From a Stoic perspective, this is where mental discipline becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we are not disturbed by events, but by our judgments about them. When someone takes quiet joy in your struggles, the natural response is anger or hurt. A Stoic recognizes the truth without letting it steal their inner peace. You see their reaction for what it is, evidence of their character, not yours. Instead of confronting them in an emotional storm, you set boundaries. You share less. You choose carefully what parts of your life they see. You protect your energy like a fortress guards its gates. This doesn't mean retreating from the world or distrusting everyone. It means observing patterns of behavior rather than focusing on single events. An offhand reaction might be minor, but a consistent pattern of delight in your struggles is something else entirely. You must address it, not by changing them, but by reclaiming control over your own emotions. As Epictetus taught, true freedom lies in knowing what you can control. You cannot force someone to celebrate your successes if they choose resentment, but you can refuse to let their reaction diminish you. When you grasp this sign, you're ready to face something worse. Some don't just relish your struggles, they actively create them. They go beyond personal satisfaction to deliberately sabotage the most vital parts of your life. They don't just want you to stumble, they aim to sever the relationships that help you rise again. Their methods are so subtle, so gradual, that you may not realize you're being isolated until the damage is done. The next tactic is the most dangerous. If you value strong relationships, you must recognize it before it's too late. The third sign: they try to turn others against you. What makes this form of hatred so harmful is its invisibility until the harm is already done. Instead of attacking openly, which would expose them, they pose as a caring friend, trustworthy colleague, or thoughtful family member. They craft an image of safety and reliability, making others feel comfortable confiding in them. Their sabotage begins so subtly that it's hard to detect. It starts with small comments. They mention your name in conversations, not with accusations, but with vague hints of doubt. They might say, "I hope John is managing all right. He's been under so much pressure." On the surface, it sounds like concern, but it subtly suggests you're unstable or overwhelmed. They don't tell outright lies. They mix half-truths with missing context to make their words believable. If you're stressed at work, they mention it, but imply your judgment is slipping. If you made a mistake, they bring it up, but omit how you took responsibility and corrected it. By framing their concern as reluctant and private, they build trust in themselves while casting suspicion on you. I saw this happen to a man named David, a senior manager at a large company. He had built strong bonds with his team over years. but a colleague. Let's call him Mark. Slowly became the team's emotional confidant. Mark held private conversations, expressing concern for David, mentioning the pressure he was under, suggesting he might be too overwhelmed to make sound decisions. These words, spoken with sympathy, carried a hidden message. David might no longer be reliable. Over time, David noticed meetings happening without him, projects reassigned, and colleagues giving him wary looks. Mark never openly criticized him. He didn't need to. The seeds of doubt were planted. This tactic, called triangulation, involves controlling information through a middleman who shapes it to their advantage. It's an ancient political strategy, effective because most people don't verify what they hear. If you don't speak directly to those involved, you're relying on a tainted filter. Before you know it, that filter has rewritten your story to serve their agenda. Seneca said that the harm others do pales compared to the harm we do ourselves by believing them. This is where a wise person's approach shines. You can't stop someone from whispering, but you can prevent their words from taking root in your mind. The key is to hold fast to what you know is true and keep open. Direct communication with those who matter. If a friend grows distant, reach out directly. If a colleague starts avoiding you, have an honest conversation instead of relying on rumors. Don't let manipulators play the middleman they crave to be. They target your closest relationships because they know your strength lies in those connections. If they can make you doubt your allies or cause your allies to doubt you, they weaken you without ever confronting you directly. That's why sudden changes in how people treat you should always prompt questions. When someone who once trusted you grows cold without explanation, consider who they've been spending time with and what negative ideas might have been planted. Ultimately, a Stoic's greatest weapon isn't blind skepticism but clarity. Recognize that some use kindness as a mask for sabotage. Your role isn't to chase every rumor or defend yourself to everyone, but to stand firm. Speak plainly, and ensure no one else tells your life story for you. Once you give away that power, you hand them the tools to fulfill their purpose. Recognizing the third sign is vital because it prepares you for something darker, a tactic that reveals not just malice but a deep understanding of human weaknesses. It forces you to rethink every gesture, every subtle word from others. This is where true hatred reveals itself in its most unsettling form. Let's explore the fourth sign: they imitate you while trying to outdo you. Some forms of hatred don't just wish you ill, they want to take your place, replace you, live as a shadow of your life while striving to surpass you. This isn't healthy competition or admiration that inspires growth. It's an obsession fueled by resentment. One of the most troubling behaviors you can encounter: when someone truly hates you, they study you with a focus more akin to surveillance than curiosity. They observe how you dress, where you go, who you spend time with, how you speak, even how you present yourself publicly. But their goal isn't to learn from you. They want to copy you, strip away your uniqueness, and claim they do it better. This behavior stems from deep insecurity within them. You represent something they believe they deserve, but can't naturally achieve. Perhaps your ease in relationships, respect in your career, or stability in your personal life. Instead of forging their own path, they make you their benchmark. They believe that by beating you at your own game, they'll prove their worth to the world and themselves. Since their self-worth is tied to surpassing you, their imitation escalates relentlessly. Consider the example of Pablo Picasso and his rival Georges Braque. Early on, their collaboration sparked creativity, but it later turned deeply personal. Braque began copying Picasso's work so closely that it was hard to tell who created what to outsiders. It might have seemed like mutual inspiration, but Picasso saw the truth. This wasn't shared brilliance. It was an attempt to invade his space, blur his identity, and prove superiority through imitation. That's the nature of toxic copying. It doesn't create value. It erases origins. When someone draws healthy inspiration from you, they build on your ideas with their own vision and credit your influence. But when someone hates you, their approach is parasitic. They copy your ideas exactly, tweak them slightly to polish their image, and claim the creation as their own. At work, they might mimic your proposals, adjust a few details, and submit them as their own. In personal life, they may adopt your hobbies, but rush to show they're more skilled or passionate than you. This isn't about sharing joy, it's about erasing your ownership. The most dangerous part is that this behavior often comes with a twist of reality. They may accuse you of copying them, flipping the narrative to paint you as the imitator and themselves as the original. This reversal not only damages your reputation, but reinforces their story of superiority. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish or mad." This is the antidote to their game. When you no longer need to outdo them, you cut off the energy they feed on. A Stoic doesn't compete harder in their arena, but steps away from the comparison entirely. Your refusal to engage starves their obsession. No matter how much someone copies you, they cannot replicate your inner foundation unless you let them influence your actions. You can spot this sign by how you feel around them, or even when thinking of them. True inspiration energizes you, even makes you proud. Toxic competition leaves you drained, insecure, and constantly on guard. If you notice someone seems to exist in your life only to mimic and outshine you, that unease is a warning worth heeding. Your instincts are signaling that this person isn't here to walk alongside you. They want to rewrite your story with themselves as the star. The longer you let this dynamic persist, the more it saps your emotional energy. You start living defensively, anticipating their next move. And before you know it, you're trapped in the same competitive cycle they're caught in. The Stoic path requires you to let go of that pull. You set firm boundaries. You remember that your life's worth isn't measured by someone else's achievements. When you stay calm and let them play their petty game without joining in, you win in the only way that matters. You preserve your peace, identity, and focus. With that, we reach the fifth and final sign, tying all the pieces together. This sign is not only the most revealing but also the most dangerous, as it affects how you experience those around you daily. Once you see it, it's unforgettable. The fifth sign, every interaction with them leaves you feeling drained. This isn't about a tense conversation or encountering someone in a bad mood. It's a consistent pattern that wears down your confidence, energy, and inner peace. Each time you engage with them, you may not notice it at first because nothing dramatic happens during these exchanges. But afterward, you feel unsettled, slightly anxious, or even angry without a clear reason. You find yourself replaying the conversation, searching for the moment things went wrong. There's rarely a single obvious moment because the harm is delivered in small, intentional doses, slipping past your conscious defense. When someone truly harbors hatred, They can emit toxic energy even in the most ordinary conversations. Their tone may be calm, their words polite, but their presence feels corrosive. Your intuition senses it before your mind can explain it. Without realizing it, you expend mental energy staying vigilant, guarding against subtle attacks too small to name but too sharp to ignore. This shows in the smallest details: a compliment that feels backhanded, a smirk after a comment that hits a sore spot, or casual mentions of your past mistakes framed as harmless anecdotes. Imagine someone looking at your work and saying, "It's better than I expected," or commenting on your home, "It's nice for this neighborhood." Each remark is cloaked in thin politeness, but carries a sharp edge. They're shaping how you see yourself, not with blatant insults, but with subtle words that keep you off balance. Over time, you change without noticing. You avoid certain topics, speak more cautiously, question your thoughts before sharing them. This feeling of walking on eggshells isn't because you're overly sensitive. It's your mind protecting itself. Through repeated encounters, you sense that anything you say might be used against you in a subtle way. They may even deny what they clearly said, or twist your words to make you seem unreasonable. This constant distortion makes you doubt not just the relationship, but your own memory, judgment, and stability. Once you lose trust in yourself, you become far easier to manipulate. A Stoic's response isn't to confront every slight or demand apologies for every veiled jab that's playing their game. Instead, you step back and see the pattern clearly. You understand that your inner peace is yours to protect, and you guard it by limiting the influence of those who thrive on disrupting it. You don't argue about their intentions, as that keeps you trapped in their framework. You calmly decide that your mind won't be their playground. To do this, trust your instincts. If you consistently leave an interaction feeling drained, diminished, or doubtful, that's not random. Your subconscious is warning you of something your reason hasn't fully grasped. You don't need undeniable proof or clear evidence of their ill intent. Observing their impact on you is enough. That alone justifies setting boundaries and keeping your distance. This subtle psychological erosion is the final and perhaps most dangerous sign of true hatred, as it doesn't just harm your reputation or steal your ideas. Its goal is to alter how you perceive yourself deep within. If you don't recognize it, you risk living with an identity quietly reshaped by someone else's malice. Recognizing this pattern completes the circle of signs we've discussed. It shows that true hatred is rarely loud or chaotic. It's quiet, calculated, and patient. Once you learn to spot it, you can't pretend it's not there. How you respond to this awareness determines whether you remain trapped or step into the clarity and strength Stoics see as the foundation of freedom. If you've followed this far, these 5 signs aren't just insights into human behavior, they're tools for survival. They're the difference between preserving your inner peace and living years undermined by someone who smiles to your face while working against you. Now that you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. You can't pretend these people are harmless anymore. Stoicism teaches that while you can't control the malice in others' hearts, you can control whether they have access to your spirit. You owe no one a place in your life if they only bring poison to the table. Trust the unease you feel when their name appears on your phone. Trust the exhaustion after every conversation. Your instincts aren't paranoia, they're the wisdom of experience trying to keep you safe. Act on that wisdom. Set boundaries. Walk away if needed. And above all, Don't waste energy on those who only want to pull you down. If this video resonates, if it brings the clarity you need, don't just move on. Subscribe now, as we're building a community of people who refuse to be manipulated, exhausted, or diminished. Like this video, share it with someone facing a silent adversary, and comment below, "I choose peace over poison." Your future self will thank you.